Let's turn the spotlight on our fixed reactions, those automatic responses to life that keep us locked in old patterns. Think of your reactions as well-worn grooves in your mind, like paths you've walked 1,000 times. When someone criticizes you, maybe your immediate reaction is defensiveness. If you feel ignored, you might retreat into silence. These reactions happen automatically, almost like pressing a button. But responding is different. It's a conscious, creative act that comes from truly listening to the moment and feeling into what's needed. Reactions are mechanical. Responses are alive. It's like the difference between watching the same movie over and over and spontaneously creating something new every time. Since childhood, we've developed reactions that we believed served us well. Maybe it was crying to get attention, or sulking when things didn't go our way. Over time, these behaviors crystallized into fixed reactions that now dominate our lives. You might think of these as your default settings. Just like my chiropractor's patients who refuse to switch their mouse hand to avoid injuries, we cling to the familiar. We wake up as the same person, have the same thoughts, and react in the same ways. It's comfortable, sure, but it's also incredibly limiting. Psychologists call this familiarity bias, our brain's preference for the known and predictable, even when it's harmful. But let's be honest, isn't it dull to be the same you every day? Imagine an actor who refuses to play any role but one. How limiting would that be? Understand, your mind is like an endless stage filled with roles waiting to be explored. So why do we insist on playing just one part, ourselves? To illustrate how reactive patterns can take over our lives, let's talk about Lisa and Tom, two colleagues whose interactions are more predictable than a weather forecast. Whenever Tom feels stressed, he micromanages Lisa's work. And Lisa, feeling cornered, instinctively rolls her eyes and stops engaging. It's a dance they've been performing for years, each reacting to the other without thinking. One day, after yet another clash, Lisa decides to flip the script. Instead of rolling her eyes, she looks at Tom and says, "You know, you're right. I haven't seen it that way." Tom, expecting his usual pushback, is stunned into silence. For the first time, they both step off the hamster wheel of reactivity and start genuinely listening to each other. It's a small moment, yes, but it shows how breaking the pattern just once can open the door to entirely new ways of relating. This is what we're aiming for, small disruptions that make a big difference. Now, again, our reactions often feel justified because at some point they worked for us. Maybe anger got people to back off, or avoidance saved us from uncomfortable conversations. But the truth is, these reactions aren't really working anymore. They're just habits masquerading as solutions. They've become like the old shoes you keep wearing even though they hurt your feet. And here's the catch. They make us predictable. People know exactly how you will react because it's always the same. You've become like a character in a movie who says the same line over and over again, never evolving, never surprising anyone. So think about the last time you got angry, scared, or defensive. Chances are your reaction didn't solve anything. It probably just escalated the situation or left you feeling drained. This is the cost of reactivity. It narrows your options, locks you into a script, and keeps you from seeing the bigger picture. As we get older, our reactions often become even more rigid, like old clay that's dried and can't be reshaped. We rely on what we know, clinging to what worked in the past, even if it no longer serves us. On the other hand, a truly flexible mind is like a tree that bends with the wind. It doesn't break because it knows how to adapt. When you react, you're fixed. When you respond, you're fluid. And that's the essence of true spontaneity. The ability to meet each moment fresh, without the baggage of old habits weighing you down. So imagine catching yourself right before you react. When you feel that familiar anger or defensiveness rising up. Instead of just going with it, pause. Allow yourself to sit with the confusion. You don't have to have all the answers. You just need to give yourself the chance to respond differently. This is how you break free from being predictable, reclaiming your freedom to think and feel in new ways. Think of yourself as an actor on the world's stage, constantly playing the same role you. But what if, for a moment, you decided to step out of your usual character? Imagine it's opposite day for your reactions. If your instinct is to stay quiet, try speaking up. If you always jump to say no, experiment with saying yes. This isn't about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about discovering parts of yourself that are usually hidden. So here's one thing you can do. Think of a complex problem or challenge you're facing, something in your career, relationships, health, or personal life. Start by identifying your usual thoughts, feelings, and reactions to this challenge. Write them down. This step is about getting honest with yourself about how you've been showing up. Then create a list of at least 3 possible responses to the challenge. Responses that are not your typical or conventional reactions. Consider unpredictable responses that could surprise those who know you well. For example, if you always argue back, try listening quietly. If you avoid conflict, consider expressing your feelings clearly and calmly. Now, think how you could have responded differently using one of your newly discovered responses. Visualize yourself acting out this new response. Imagine how this might affect the people around you and the outcome of the situation.